Last we left the Golden Hearts, they were all making their relatively clean escape from the now burning Crow's Crest Manor. Valoran, with his mother and sister retrieved, points himself towards his family home, having been too long removed from its familiar walls. Thor shifts his attention in the opposite direction, heading west towards the Queen's coast in hopes of finding information about the man that he had glimpsed through Buffy. Rolly, pairing off with Terry, decides that the nagging feeling of unfinished business is too heavy to ignore, starting his travels back to Bronshard. Finally, Jarek knew his responsibilities to both Karel and his family were being neglected, deciding it was time to set a few records straight. I think it's very satisfying that I messed up the Jarek line. That seems fitting. That was the night of August 8th, the last day that the Golden Hearts were whole. Months have passed, the orange leaves of autumn carpeting the landscape before layers of snow announce the arrival of winter. Many stories and small adventures took place in their time apart, but the monumental event that has caused our companions to trek back across Asmiliath is the passing of a respected ally, Duke Braun. Jarek, who had been working with the academics beneath the Duke, had been by his side as a once strong, firm, and decisive man, withered into a husk of a human being. Quickly he sends out a message to his companions, informing them of the passing so that they can come pay their respects. It is now December 10th, as a thin layer of frost still clings to the sledge fields surrounding Kraylin in the early morning. The entire city sits in an eerie silence as the final day of Duke Braun's funeral takes place. No matter if they were rich or poor, the occupants of the city show up in droves to give their respects to their fallen lord, crowding the streets leading up to the platform that had been built in front of Highbridge. Valoran, who had met up with Thor several weeks ago, makes his way towards Kraylin's gate with a few new souls in tow. Jarek, who was attending the last service to Duke Braun, eagerly awaits the arrival of his friends, knowing that today was their expected arrival. Sadly, the company won't be fully whole, Jarek and Valoran receiving a letter from their dwarven ally, explaining his new responsibilities in Bronshard keep them locked away. Though the message is bittersweet as the party learns one of their enemies, Goran of the Bronze Fists, was exiled from his position of power. Lastly, a new branch of fate weaves into our story. A young man with auburn hair and a determined gaze trudges toward the silent gates. So, Valoran and Thor, you are making your way towards Kraylin. It's been about a week and a half journey since you've left Folk. You are trudging forth down the road towards the familiar gates, where last time you had seen a funeral here, there were these draping garlands of flowers that basically lined every single building across the city. Now that it is in the colder days of the year, there isn't as much floral decoration. There's still the bright blue and dark blue colors of House Grator hanging on long decorative banners from the ramparts and the buildings and the castle off in the distance. But there is no fanfare, no celebration, no loud noises coming from the city. There is, again, this kind of simple silence taking over the approach. What? How are you two making it along?
Thor, did you want to start?
It doesn't matter to me. I imagine Thor would be just sitting in the cart, kind of observing everything. Hands crossed his knees, just kind of watching, observing like the vibe of the place, making sure he doesn't, get too excited, be too sad. He's just in observance mode, which is a new thing for him.
Okay.
And Valoran is heading up the column on Belgree's familiar site. Actually has his hair tied back in kind of one of those Regency ponytails. Looking a little more put together than the days of raging at Crow's Crest. The old reliable wagon is behind him, now being driven by kind of a heavy-set, salt of the earth looking guy, who sort of has kind of a dopey smile, sort of like a dopey grin, kind of all the time. And sitting with him, like Thor, you on that wagon, like in the driver's, like riding shotgun, and kind of shoving its way, between the arms of that driver and Thor is a big brown mastiff head, and around the other side of the guy that's driving, 3 more kind of poke their heads out from under the cover of the wagon and are sort of looking around and panting. Behind the wagon is a second covered wagon with the Golden Hearts emblem displayed on the side. This one's being driven by a sort of skinny blonde half-elf woman who seems a little uncertain of herself in the driver's seat, but the draft horses sort of know what they're doing anyhow. They follow the wagon in front of them well enough. And behind the second wagon is a carriage with no insignia on it, but it being driven by a grizzled, tough-looking, armed man with a black and gray goatee, very thick, sort of high and tight, salt and pepper hair, driving that third vehicle. And this caravan is slowly approaching the gate of Kralin.
Very nice. Jarek, what sort of festivities are you up to during this time?
So I think Jarek is taking the time to be with the staff of the Duke's household. He'd probably be in one of kind of the servants' areas as they mingle, putting forth a little bit of a the term reliquy, I think, but a little bit of a light song, a mournful kind of just chant across, what is a man but the legacy behind? Is it his family? Is it his friends? That type of a thing. And just doing a little bit of that. He'll go through the various members of the household, swapping stories, dressed in all black. He's in mourning. He became very close with Duke Braun in those last few months. And the work that they had done weighs heavily upon him as he has lost much more of his hair, and has a little bit of weight. So he's doing his best to keep up the spirits in, funeral setting. And then from there, he would make his way out to Highbridge, eagerly awaiting the arrival of his compatriots, and probably do the same thing. Give out that just kind of mournful song to the people who have come to pay their respects. Kind of give praise to the dead, speak no ill type of a thing. And just on occasion give a little bit of a minor illusion of Duke Braun's head. And, however shall we miss this visage? Kind of get that mood going.
All right. And then, Decker, you have heard news of your, I guess, semi-adopted father figure passing, with the various kind of mysterious means surrounding it, not really quite knowing the full story. But you've made yourself from Uken. You've traveled the short distance, only a couple of days, but you are managing to get here on the last day of his almost week-long funeral that has been kind of put together by the king, and a lot of the celebrations and show of it being a display of, honor and privilege and respect to, the kind of titan that Duke Braun was. But as you're making your way, you might even have passed the Golden Heart caravan, the new size of it, or, maybe you're walking behind it, but you're more or less arriving roughly around that same time.
And I'm in the city, or I'm still outside?
You're approaching the gate. This is like as you approach.
And anybody looking would see man on a horseback and riding with a practice ease that he's obviously spent some years in the saddle, quite at home on the horse. And you'd see that he was dressed in very well-fitting, tailored clothes. The pants are kind of a light brown, slightly baggy, with form-fitting, darker brown boots that, coming up, you see in contrast to the browns and the green of his cloak, you'd see a bright yellow shirt, and a sash is around his waist. It's a white sash, and it's got various colors and embroidering on it. And slung across his back would be a shield and a rapier, and it's got auburn hair that's tied in the back with into a ponytail that comes to about his neck, and it's tied with a leather cord. And as he's riding, he looks at there's an owl perched on his shoulder.
All right.
Yep. And no, that's fine. And he's riding into town at this point.
Gotcha. So as the various members of the story yet to unravel make their way into Kraylen, I guess all of you at this point being very familiar with the city, again, there is a distinctly different entrance than if you had arrived any other day. There's this silent, almost uneasiness. There's definitely a fair amount of respect and weight on this day. The kind of coldness of the morning, kind of adding a little bit of bite to the strange air as you approach. But after, the Valoran and Thor stop by, I'm assuming the Sliver of the Moon get their wagons and carriages and whatnot kind of hitched up and in place, meeting back up with Jarek, and Decker making his way in by himself. The kind of routine of the funerals of lords and ladies in this land is after their demise, their fall, their death. It's almost about a week or 2 week long affair, kind of setting up these various pyres isn't really the right term, but like podiums where the body is, kept maintained. It's not rotting or anything, but it's put on display. People can come by and give their respects, kind of let the situation sink in fully. So today is the final day of that, finally setting up a podium more or less in the center of town, right where Highbridge begins, leading over to the other side of the city. It's usually around noon that the majority of the crowd is gathered, and that's roughly going to be the time frame that everyone kind of comes together. But is there anything specific that anybody wants to do before that time comes?
I think Jarek, upon seeing his companions again, would give Valoran your classic arm clasp. My good friend, Lord Valoran, how have you been? How's your family?
Jarek, somehow I didn't think it would be this long before I saw you again. Everything's well enough.
I'm saddened for the circumstances, but has been too long. And then he'd just go and give Thor a hug. Just a big ol' hug.
I didn't think you'd make it this long, so I'm really proud of you.
Thor, it's been a hard few months. I'm glad to see you well. Kind of pat him on the chest, and you look stronger?
I feel, strong as usual. I'm trying to keep more of an open mind. Perceive. That's a word I.
We've all grown, it seems. Well, why don't we head up and can put this matter to rest? It is the final day. I'll fill you in on the details here in a little while. But I did spend quite a bit of time to Duke in these past few months, and I have much to discuss with you.
So getting the, I guess, long-awaited reconvening of the Golden Hearts out of the way, a brief reintroduction going, the party then makes their way to the crowd that's kind of surrounding this podium in the middle of the city. Again, there's no noises of like a rumbling crowd. There isn't even really murmuring conversations going on. It's almost kind of strange, making goosebumps stand on your skin as a vast crowd of people, all appearing to be from various walks of life, are just silently standing in remembrance to their lord. Up on the podium, you would recognize a few figures, especially Jarek, having been here and working with the Duke most recently. Clifford, the half-elf house head servant that you have met and talked to and worked with quite a fair bit. Long blonde hair and a nice, well-decorated blue robe, his pointed ears prominently sticking out, holding himself very gracefully behind the displayed body of Duke Braun. Even from a distance, it's very clear that dark, purple and black bags under his eyes indicate that the past few days and the events taking place currently have really put a stress on him, but he's still holding the grace kind of to the forefront. Beside him, you would recognize the less effective Lord Jarrell, the young man that you would saved from the butcher's hole not too long ago. His black curly hair is still well maintained. It's clear that somebody is keeping up with his appearance and his hygiene and making sure he's as presentable as possible, but the blank stare and a small line of drool still indicate that his mind has not returned to any sort of level that it was before the incident. But around them are a few other people that you wouldn't recognize, brothers from the Randallin religion, kind of making sure the event is taken care of and various religious rites are read out and seen through. But you are just more or less kind of gathered there for the time being. Decker, is there any last comments or things you wanted to do?
If I were able to find the Master of Arms, I believe his name was Bragan DeVere.
Mm-hmm.
If he's there, I'd like to find him and say hello, but...
Why don't you roll me a investigation check? Good. It's a good start. Alright. So, Decker, as you begin to kind of move through the crowd, more or less just trying to not disturb the peace as you're searching out this old companion of yours, and the Golden Hearts, as you are stood kind of watching the gathering kind of pan out, a few of the individuals up on the podium speaking. Eventually, you see Clifford reach down, his hand kind of touching the back of Jarrell's shoulder, kind of shuffling him forward ever so slightly, and Clifford, still holding himself very regally, lifts his head and prominently addresses the crowd. Our new lord, Lord Jarrell, would like to say a few words for the passing of his father. If everyone could please pay your respects. And he shoves Jarrell forward. Jarrell is almost acting as if there isn't a massive crowd gathered in front of him, almost being completely oblivious to what's going on. You see his vacant eyes kind of drift downward to his father. In the first show of any sort of intelligence, or at least life within this young boy, you see his hand come up from his side and rest on a very shriveled and ill-looking Duke Braun. It's clear that some magic and makeup potentially have tried their best to keep the image of him alive, what is displayed now, but it's clear that he had the life almost sucked out of him before death. But Jarrell rests his hand on his father's body. and you begin to see his mouth move, but he's whispering, he's muttering, and it would be too difficult to discern what he's saying if the crowd was making any sort of noise, but the eerie silence kind of allows this strange murmuring to drift through the cold air. And out of all of you, Jarek, you would be the only one who picked up on something strange, something odd. You can't quite understand the language. It isn't something that you're familiar with. But with your knowledge of Infernal, you begin to catch that there are certain parts of this language that mix, that make sense, that almost connect, as if they're both kind of based off of the same structure. And as this is kind of getting your attention, you might like look up with a little bit of curiosity. You see more intent growing through the body of Lord Jarrell. His figure, his posture kind of curling in on itself, the vacant eyes kind of glinting with just the slightest bit of life as he begins to speak and murmur. And the voice gets louder, and everyone begins to kind of look at each other. Clifford puts his hand on the back of his shoulder, kind of attempting to pull him away. And then all of a sudden, as if the entire world was cast with the spell of silence, there's nothing. There's not a shuffle, not a scrape, not a breath. If you try to talk, if you try to scream, it comes out as nothing. And as everyone is realizing something is wrong, something's off, there is a massive, earth-shattering explosion. The world around you is cast into chaos. As you are flung back, there are immediately screams and crumbling and stone being flung all around, a giant cloud of dust swirling and blocking your vision. As we roll initiative. As the world is cast into chaos, the immediate area around the podium, as everyone hits the ground, you're all shoved prone with this explosion, and you begin kind of regaining your vision and your senses, everything a bit blurry with the chaos and screaming that is ensuing from the explosion. You lift yourself up, your groggy muscles kind of reacting before your senses can really gain hold. You start looking around, and as you glance back at the source of the chaos, I have to think of better words to use, but that's fine. There is swirling dust and debris and stone. There is these large green glowing emeralds jutting from the town road. The cobblestone that was just sitting there plain as day moments before is now cast aside. These strange, almost terrifying crystals jutting out as other massive boulders and bits of stone kind of form this bowl-like crater where the podium stood. Inside of this obscured area, you see a gigantic humanoid figure slowly standing up from a curled over position, almost like the Terminator, if you can get that reference. And as he stands up fully, you hear the shifting of stone and metal that almost kind of harmonizes with the scraping explosion noises from before. And as the dust kind of clears, you see this strange construct. Again, it's a humanoid figure, almost kind of resembling what you would imagine like a hunched over gorilla might be. But it stands like 20 feet tall. It is this massive creature, about as wide as Thor is tall. Its skin, I guess if you can even call it that, is made out of what appears to be stone and earth and metal. There's these jagged, strange spikes protruding out of its skin and its form, covering its entire body. You see the center where a human's ribcage would be. There's this reinforced natural metal centering around this glowing green spiritual energy. And if any of you kind of peer deeper, kind of glance farther into this strange sight, you would see what appears to be the frail, dead body of Duke Braun is trapped inside the ribcage of this beast. And the face, this terrified, scared face of the friend you once knew, occasionally swirls around in this confined area and faces the outside. And every time it does, its ethereal mouth stretches open and an ear-piercing screech fills the immediate area around you. Obviously, the townspeople seeing this sight are panicking, scattering, running in all directions. Anybody who is up on the podium, it's unclear where they might be now. Thor, as you hit the ground and you are immediately cast into this intense situation, you look over to your right and you see a rather young human male, probably a late teens, labor worker, seems like an everyday kind of man. There's a bit of blood kind of trickling from a fresh wound on his forehead. He's clearly panicked. He looks over at you, and right as you are both kind of getting up, he's like, are you all right? And right as he's reaching out to grab you to make sure that you're fine, you see a spike, a green, transparent spike, shoot through his chest, a chain trailing from the back of him all the way back to the creature in the center. And you can clearly see that one of the townspeople that was killed by the immediate explosion, their form has been copied. This ghost specter drifting from their body and had wielded the chain as it shoved it through the boy on the ground. And as the chain gets shoved through and he lets out this scream, you see the massive beast in the center yank the chain and his body gets flung at an insane speed back to him. And as he catches it in his giant hand, you see the boy impaled on one of the spikes on the monster's forearm. And he screams, filling the air again, adding to the confusion and the chaos going on. As we pick up your turn, sir. Valorn, you're on deck, by the way.
Lovely.
So you are prone.
Okay. Cool. Awesome. Okay. Did not know that. Sorry.
And use the general rule of it looks like difficult terrain. It probably is difficult terrain. If anything is unclear of what it is, just ask the question.
Okay. Well, I can't reach it for my first turn, so I would like to move 5, 10, 15, because I only have 20 feet of movement after I get up. And then, is this thing difficult terrain?
No, probably the rubble starting around the crater would be difficult. Those planks are fine.
Okay. Then I would like to move here, put myself between the townspeople and whatever this beast is. And then, okay. And then I would like to rage. And then I will throw Shard's Edge at it.
All right.
Because I'm not in range. So now I add dexterity plus my proficiency.
And look at you go.
I know, I'm amazing. So that's plus 5 to hit now.
Okay.
So I'll just roll it in here. Plus 5, so that's 16.
That hits.
Okay. And so then let me expend a charge on that. And did that roll?
Is raging a bonus action?
What?
Is raging a bonus? So then you
can't...
Oh,
wait, yeah. So then I wouldn't be able to call it back. Never mind.
Yeah. Okay. So it's just that and the shard is deployed.
Yes.
So you don't have a sword right now.
No.
Okay.
I have a hilt.
And then you tell the townspeople to run?
Yeah.
All right.
If I have to intimidate them, I will. I don't
Back
care.
into the swing of things. So, as you force yourself back up from the ground and you face this strange creature that has just blasted itself into this world, you go charging forward, no fear reaching your body as you dig deep into the rage you rely on. Wielding Shard's Edge, you shoot out the disjointed bits of metal that separate from its form. And as it hits the structure, or I guess the beast or the construct, you see the bits of metal hit its skin and basically just deflect off. You do chip just a little bit of it, but it's clear that there's no flesh to sink into. There's no blood to pull from this stone. Your attack very much showing that any sort of physical endeavor is not going to be a big problem for this creature. But as you land the blow and you turn around screaming to this already panicked and running and disorganized populace, whether it's your call or their genuine fear, they're already in a panic and beginning to run. But that is your turn, sir. All right.
Yes, sir.
Valorant, you're up, sir. What you got for me?
All right, so I'm also on the ground, I assume.
Yes.
Okay, so 15 feet to stand up. Valorant echoes Thor's command to the people around and adds, grab whoever you can, pull them with you. And I'm gonna move here.
Okay.
So as to encompass these villagers in my aura of protection.
Okay.
For whatever good it might do.
Oh, what is the advantage of that?
They get a +5 to saves.
Okay, very good. Okay.
If there's a save that may be involved, they'll get a +5 to it. And I will spend the rest of my turn. I just want to size this thing up. I want to try to understand what I'm looking at.
Okay. We'll do insight then. All right. So as you stand and you bring forth the energy that your family has relied on, this golden light kind of spewing from your figure as you get a strong stance and begin examining the creature that has caused all of this trouble, what you are met with is this large stone-based creature. It is clearly not alive in any sort of natural sense. It is being powered or fueled or controlled by some sort of magic, whether that be arcane or divine or evil or whatever it might be. As you are taking a second glance and really watching its movements and the events taking place, you see that the young man that he had impaled on his forearm, its body now limp, kind of hanging as it moves itself around. The blood from that man begins to seep into the stone beneath him, and then begins almost unnaturally crawling up, refusing the pull of gravity towards the center of his chest, and that ribcage structure that is holding in the green spirit of Duke Braun. The blood begins to seep through the gaps and into that center, and the light, that green light emitting from it, begins to glow and grow just ever so brighter. But that would be kind of what you get with the 12, sir.
Okay.
Alrighty. Aurora, you are up, sir. With
Okay.
Decker following.
Right. So I don't have control. Let's see. I do have control.
Yep.
There we go. So I'll give a mental command to Aurora just to try to distract this thing however it can. And she'll fly in. And is she able to get close to him?
Yeah.
All right. So she'll flutter in front of his face and then haul ass back.
Okay.
And then Decker, he'll get up, and that. So when I get up, that takes half of my movement from prone, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so I'll start moving behind him, and I'm able to get there. And as I pass this villager, I just kind of whisper to him like, "Run!" and try to get him to get away.
All right.
And that would be the end of my turn.
Okay. Are you attempting anything? Like, are you trying to stealth or hide? Are you trying to just get a better advantage?
I'm on my way behind him. I don't think that there's anywhere I could really hide right now.
Gotcha.
No, there's nothing. So, yeah. And whoever attacks next on this turn gets advantage.
Also, you didn't use your action, so you could technically dash, or use your bonus action to dash, if you'd like.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. So, and then I will go.
So those boulders are probably difficult terrain, like squeezing by them, kind of crawling over them.
Okay, so dashing, that's 5 there,
Mhm.
another 10 there,
Mm-hmm.
and then another 10 there, and that would be done.
Gotcha. So as you recover from the explosion, landing on the stone road, pushing yourself up, quickly you begin to regain your senses. As you duck by the villager, you call out to Aurora, the flapping of the wings, quickly darting into the dust, kind of disturbing a small tunnel of it as it goes towards the creature. You see the familiar owl that you travel with scraping at the stone, kind of beating its wings against the side of its head, and it's clearly not disturbed in any sense of this small pestering. As the owl kind of does its best and then darts away, you begin to glide through the stonework, kind of darting through the small supports for the railing of the deck as you kind of hide behind this construct, though it is kind of mechanically looking back and forth, almost scanning what is around it and taking stock of its situation. And with that, we are now down to Jarek.
Jarek will go ahead and hoist himself up, and then from there, take a look at this great beast. If I recall correctly, you said that it has a large piece of metal covering its kind of chest belly.
Yeah, so like where you would traditionally think of a rib cage in a human's body, instead of there being like stone or muscle covering that, it appears the rib cage is like almost pushed to the surface, and it's this, what you would imagine like raw iron that's been like rusted, kind of appearing like this rough, unmaintained surface. These like metal fingers kind of reaching across its chest, containing the green spirit on the inside.
Okay, but it is metal.
Yes, as far as you are aware.
Okay, then I would like to cast heat metal on it.
Okay.
And so that metal will begin to glow red hot, dealing 12 fire damage. If it is able to drop or remove it from itself, it will need to succeed on a Constitution saving throw. If it cannot remove it from itself, then it will have disadvantage on all attack rolls and ability checks until the start of my next turn.
All right, good to know. Let me give a little reminder to it. The smoke symbol, that seems to make sense. So he takes 12 fire damage and then has disadvantage on attack rolls till your turn?
Correct.
All right.
Unless he can like remove that from himself. If that's something that's droppable, I don't.
Is there anything else you have your turn, sir?
And you know, as he's doing that, just call it, "May the fires take you, foul beast." Yeah, that's it.
So as everyone leaps into action, everybody but Jarek, making sure that the townspeople are on their way away from the beast, Jarek stands tall on the porch, facing off the demon from a very safe distance, and then casts his power. And you begin to see the strange finger-like bones that stretch across his chest turn a slightly different hue, where they were this originally kind of dark navy blue. They shift to a more maroon, a purple, and then begin growing orange and red and then white hot. As the spirit on the inside, the face still kind of swirling around in the space, pushes itself as far away as it possibly can from this heat, and you hear that screaming, that squealing noise that pierces your ears, growing louder, reverberating farther, as there's clear pain done to the creature, the entity on the inside, as the beast that's now stood atop of it begins kind of shaking. Its once like mechanical movements kind of becoming a little bit more disjointed, as it almost starts like dully patting its chest, attempting to get rid of the heat and the pain that is at the source of its body. But you do deal 12 fire damage, and it is disadvantaged. That makes sense. And that's all you got, sir?
Can I do just a quick insight check on if this is a being of, I guess, is it dispellable? Does it look like something that was constructed of magic or something more organic?
Give me an insight check.
Because I know I've had a summoned beast be dispelled before. Like, maybe this could.
with the minimal knowledge you know about this, it is incredibly hard to determine what's powering it, how it's powered, what the rules are, how it's functioning, what might turn it off. The only hint or suggestion that you might have is clearly dealing that heat, that fire damage to the spirit on the inside was the only thing that really has gotten its attention so far.
Okay.
Okay. So,
Aim for the
Jarek,
gut.
as you are witnessing the fallout of your events, you start glancing around, partly trying to like get a stock of where your companions are and what's going on, but also just making sure there aren't any other strange creatures coming at you. And as you glance around, you see the strange shimmering green light hovering above some of the dead bodies surrounding the crater. And as you kind of focus in on them, you see, again, mirror images of the people that now lay dead, mangled, and broken on the ground, rising up from their bodies. Whatever damage they've received in life, translating itself to the spectral form. Lots of half faces, broken arms, reversed legs, as these spirits stand up from their once filled vessels, and their eyes start glancing around before they all start darting off with intense speed, floating across the ground towards their various targets. But before they can connect anywhere, for the first time since this thing has appeared, you hear the intense, almost mechanical scraping of its body begin to move. Let's see what it's going to do, because I haven't gotten that far yet. This thing is massive. That'll work. Alright. So Thor, as you've cast out Shard's edge and you watch the bits of your sword kind of glancing off of its skin, its eyes turn and lock on you, these tiny, small green pinpricks in these black void of sockets. It's almost like a natural stone helmet has been formed around what you would assume is the head of this beast, and it begins to lumber towards you, each step kind of shaking the ground, bits of the crater kind of falling into the bowl as it just plods with the almost blank intent towards you. There's no anger or sound or noise. It's just absolute bare bones stare down as it towers over you and then goes to swing one of its massive paws in your direction. What is your AC, sir?
15.
That is a hit. That is a miss.
Disadvantage.
Oh. Well, I'll count that as disadvantage. So that first one misses. Second one hits. It's 11 plus. It's 16. I always hate things that roll multiple dice. I feel like I'm taking forever to figure out the damage for it.
Well, all that extra disadvantage is gonna add up.
All right. So Thor, as it towers over you, and you're trying to figure out the best way to potentially dodge or block this blow, but not even having a sword to use, one of its hands comes swinging from the side, and it's just slow enough that you can kind of duck out of the way, the whooshing air kind of just gliding over the top of your head. But as you are still intently looking at that one, you don't catch the second one coming around the other direction as it plows into your side. You are raging, so you take half damage, correct, sir? You're going to take 8 bludgeoning damage and 7 necrotic damage. As you are hit with the other fist, it is legitimately like being rammed by a giant stone boulder that is swung with this ferocity, this insane speed that almost seems unnatural. It actually is unnatural. And as it hits you and kind of almost sends you off balance, you feel this stinging, acidic, almost illness lingering on the skin where the stone touched you. It making the grayness of your skin, turning this strange black, this swirling like a dried desert where the cracks begin to form on the surface. It begins to stretch up your skin. And as it hits you, it just brings its arm back again, staring down at you, and is intently going to try and strike you again its next turn. But Obviously not. As you are being set upon, your focus being mainly on this giant creature, out of the peripherals of your vision, you see these green specters darting from where they had spawned, quickly shooting away from the bodies they had formed from. And as they do, you see these long green strands connect from the specters to the behemoth in front of you. These chains that lock almost at the back of its neck. And as they fully form, you can see the specters that have began to form and chasing down their targets are wielding these crude spikes with the spectral chains coming off behind them, and they begin to move. That one's going to go there, that one's going to go there, and that one's going to go there. And as you all watch this take place, Thor taking the blow and the specters shooting out, almost mimicking the initial explosion, you see them bear down on these townspeople, still panicked, trying to get to their feet, not quite sure where safety or what is going on. You see all the specters, these men, women, and children that might have been these people's friends or family, striking forward with their spikes. There are none of them in your aura of one being attacked. That's very sad. But let's see. How does this go? That fails. That fails. Oh god, that's awful. Okay. As the specters shoot out, the townspeople being completely terrified and unsure of themselves aren't even able to dodge these lumbering attacks as the spikes find their way into their body. And as they do, let me go ahead and switch over this real quick. This should work. Nope. Why did that not work? Hold on. Wait. That works. Oh, wait, no. There. Okay. As all of the spikes are driven into the townspeople, you see the chains grow taut as they're almost being sucked into the center of this being in the middle. And all of the townspeople are beginning to claw at these spikes. It's shoved through their shoulder, their legs, through their hands, but it can't be pulled out as they're all slowly being tugged towards the center. And then the ones that are not being attacked are going to flee. So that one gets off the map. Whoop. This one would get off the map. This one would run. That's in place. That one would get off the map. Alrighty. And then we were back up to the top with Thor.
Okay, now I have two questions.
Alright.
One, was that damage already have? I didn't know
Yes.
if that was already. Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure before I put that damage on myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then from what I can see from this one right here, does it look like the chain is going, it's attached to the specter that's then attached to the people?
No, that line is wrong. It should be attached to the person, but I drew it in the wrong place, and I can't quite select it because I hate this game. Oh, that didn't work.
Oh boy. Okay.
Yeah. This line idea was a bad idea.
Okay.
Anyway, continue.
Oh boy. Well, anyways.
Yes. There we go. That's fixed. The chain is connected to the person and then back to the behemoth.
Okay. Well, I would like to move 5, 10 feet right here.
Mm-hmm.
And then I shot my shards out, so I'd like to bonus action call them back.
All right.
Which is 13. Does that hit anything?
That's for the behemoth, I'm assuming?
I mean, it's for anything in the path.
Yeah, that would miss.
Okay. And then I would like to... do these chains, do they have physical form, or are they very spectral looking?
You would assume that they can be interacted with because the spike at the end of them is genuinely impaling physically the townspeople that's connected to. So if the chain follows the same rules, there's something there.
Okay. Then I would like to try to attack the chain that's right next to me.
All right.
Am I flanking a chain? Is that a thing?
No. So it would just be
Okay.
whatever your roll would be.
So it's a 10 and a 27.
Okay. Are you rolling with
They're
Oh,
just,
you're
it's
double attacking?
I get 2 attacks.
Gotcha.
So.
All right. So as the chain is pulled taut in front of you, and you have your sword reform, you kind of eyeball it, more or less kind of shrugging, hoping that this might work or there's even something to hit. You swing the sword, and as you do, you just kind of clip it with the tip of the sword, and you see the chain kind of shaking and rattling, kind of swinging in place. Knowing now that you can hit it, you steady your second swing and bring the heavy blade down. Cleanly, you slice it in two, and you see the tension almost pop as a townsperson that was quickly pulling at it tumbles away a little bit with the tension finally relieved. They kind of looking over at you in panic and then looking at the specter beside it and then down at the spike still stuck through their shoulder.
Okay. So that chain is severed, correct?
Yes. These lines are really hard to select. Look at that. Oh, no.
It's fine. You got it.
Anything
You'll
else, sir?
figure it out.
Yeah.
That is my action and my bonus action, and as much as I feel like moving, so that is my turn.
All right. Valorant, you were up, sir.
All right, watching monkey see, monkey do. I'm going to move. Let's see, 5, 20. If I can get there.
Mm-hmm.
And as I move, just sort of twisting my grip around the handle of my glaive and casting magic weapon, and begins to shimmer with golden light, becoming a magical weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And I will attack the chain that's in front of me. There's
all right.
one. And I'm going to wait and see what that first hit does.
Okay.
Before I
So
use my other attack.
there is a boulder kind of covering some of your vision here as you run up and kind of gain knowledge of the situation. Going off of Thor's example, you wield your glaive and you almost have to like grab the very end of it and hurl the tip of it over this boulder to attempt to strike the chain on the other side. And as you do, you hear the metal of your glaive kind of hitting some other sort of metal, a sharp cling sound coming from the impact. And as you pull the glaive back and glance over the boulder, you see the tail ends of the spectral chain kind of weaving away in either direction, the townsperson off to your west being pulled free from the behemoth it was attached to.
And having severed that chain, I'm turning my attention on the behemoth, and I bellow, "I see you, Tordan the desperate, Tordan the defeated."
12.
I'm gonna channel my divinity into I forget exactly what it's called, but it's my other option, +10 to hit.
All right.
So that'll be a 22.
That would hit, sir.
And that damage, and I will also do a level 2 smite. 9 radiant.
So 15
And-
slashing and 9 radiant.
Yes.
Okay. So as you call upon your power again, surging this light inside of you, feeling empowered, emboldened, stronger, braver, you lash out at this beast that is intent down on Thor. You strike the forearm that had struck your companion, and you see the physical part of your glaive scraping against his skin. And as you pull away, you see the blow, the land, where you would normally spot a cut or blood or damage or chips of the stone. There's barely any indication that your struck dealt any sort of damage, but the lingering radiant damage that clings to its stony flesh as you pull the blade away. You see it begin almost crawling up his arm like the blood did from the man that he had captured, and slowly making its way towards the chest.
Would you say that I would understand that it resisted even the magical glaive?
Yes.
Okay.
Anything else, sir?
I think I've got I think I've got enough movement to just nudge myself over so that I can get Thor in my aura, and that'll be it.
Alrighty. Decker, Aurora is up.
Okay. And the last time she tried to help, did that do anything against?
It appears that the distraction of an owl was not enough to really gain this thing's attention.
Okay. Then I'll just tell her to sit tight for the moment, and have her. I'll have her fly over next to this curious fat man here.
Mm-hmm.
And am I already up on this rock right here?
You were kind of squeezed between the two.
Okay, so I'll come up that way.
Mm-hmm.
Am I able to close the distance here? That's
10, 20...
25 feet to right. To right here would be...
Give me an acrobatics check real quick.
All right.
To see how well you can clamber over these protrusions. So, Jarek, he has disadvantage once or until your turn?
He has disadvantage on all attack rolls and ability checks until my next turn.
Gotcha.
However, Heat Metal is a concentration spell, and I can redo that damage each of my turns as a bonus action. Each time I do so, it reimposes that disadvantage.
Okay, good to know. So, Decker, as you are darting behind these rocks and the chaos and confusion is still going on around you, you begin to deftly kind of place your feet, very confident in your movements, as you clamber up this boulder, kind of stepping almost like a Captain Morgan pose on the jutting gems, the glowing gems at the top of the crater, as you now have a much better advantageous position of the battlefield kind of displayed out in front of you. So you can close the distance, kind of stop up there, whatever you want to do.
So I'll close the distance and just yell out, "What are you?" And then I will attack.
Alrighty, sir.
Where? Booming Blade.
Mm-hmm.
And
Would he get a +2 since I'm...
Yep.
Okay.
okay,
So we're not technically allies yet.
Does a 16 hit?
16 would hit, sir. And that was 14 damage. Is that including the... Oh, yeah, I forgot. Booming Blade is a...
Yeah, so we've got 12 piercing, 9 sneak attack, and then 2 for the piercer, so that's 21.
Yep, at the bottom.
Yeah, 23 damage.
Alrighty. And then there's the booming blade damage, correct?
I think Booming Blade only comes if he moves.
No, we figured this out when we ran that combat. When you strike him, you get, I think, is it 1d8?
Yeah, 1d8.
And that would be thunder damage, I think. Ooh.
Okay, and so as he hits, then you'd hear every time he hits, you'd hear like a thunder crack, and then there'd be a globe around him of energy. And I'm out of movement at that point, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That's the end of my turn.
So, Decker, as you clamber over these rocks, jumping down into the crater, you realize now that you're in here, there appears to be this strange ritualistic symbol kind of digging itself into the dirt beneath your feet. It's appearing as like almost the symbol that's been drawn is made of acid, and it's slowly eating through the earth, growing deeper and deeper beneath you. But ignoring that for now, you strive towards the behemoth in front of you as you kind of pull a hand along your blade, casting this strange thunderous energy, this aura over its gleaming silver light, and you jab it into the back. It basically completely unaware of your presence. As you drive the point in, you see the flex of your rapier kind of shifting around a little bit rubbery as you try to dive deeper, but even the sharp point of your sword isn't able to get through its stony exterior. But you see the aura drifting from your blade and over the back of his body, covering the stonework in this kind of shifting shockwave type appearance. You are able, like, it's clear to you that you are able to stab and see a little bit of like chipping and scratching at the point of your hit, but it's not doing any sort of normal damage you could imagine.
All right.
Well, is that all you got, sir?
That's all I got.
Alrighty. Jarek, you are up, sir.
Seeing this beast having chained those townspeople, he'll go furiously upon his loot and just cry out, "You are hot-blooded, a fever upon thee!" And go ahead as a bonus action, cast damage.
Okay.
We're heat metals, so 8. So 9 more fire damage.
Okay.
And then as he is yelling that out, "Upon thee," and then his voice will just get higher and higher, and it'll burrow into the thing's mind with some dissonant whispers at 3rd level.
Okay.
It needs to make a wisdom saving throw of 15 or take 17 psychic damage.
All right. Are there any other negative effects to that?
It needs to run the hell away from me.
Is that frightened?
It is not.
That's not a condition, it's just part of the spell.
Let me see. Failed save takes damage. It must immediately use its reaction if available to move as far away. Creature doesn't move into obviously dangerous ground. A deafened creature automatically saves.
Is the save half damage or no damage?
Have to.
Half damage. Okay.
It does not have to move.
Gotcha. So as your cry grows louder and louder, the rest of the gathered people in this zone, now most of the terrified townspeople having made enough distance so that their screams aren't the most prominent noise, you hear Jarek's voice carrying across, and you reach into the mind of whatever this might be, attempting to grab onto what's powering it, or the beast itself, whatever you can latch onto. And when you usually cast a spell and you feel the terror inflicted on the individual that is the target, there is a kind of feedback that you can reach and feel. As you touch this construct, this stone man, you see it not even shift. No, its eyes don't move, its body doesn't move. You feel the connection, you feel that you succeed, but it just kind of passes straight through whatever negative effect you tried to incur. Is that all you got, sir?
And then I cry out to Decker, "Young man, let me know if that is a magic circle." And yeah, that'd be it.
All right. So as you scream out across the battlefield, or as you are stood at the sole attention of this monster, one of its arms raised as it's going to strike you, you see its other arm quickly reach back and grab the chain connected to the back of its neck, and in one swift motion you see it jerk the chain, and almost like a pulley system, even after the initial jerk, you see the chain begin to shoot past its grasp, receding into its neck, as the townsperson up in the northeast is sucked to him, and instead of the right hand coming down to beat you, to strike you, it catches the woman in its grasp, the woman screaming out in pain as the stone grip kind of closes around her, and then he sticks it right on the top of his head, one of the spikes jutting through her abdomen as she screams yet again, and you see the blood begin to pour down the curves of its face as it turns its attention back to you. As it does so, You see the blood from the young man that had first been impaled reaching the center of his soul, the majority of it finally crawling inwards. And as it does, there's a brief kind of rush of energy, these green balls kind of dispersing from its chest. And it raises, whoopsies, 2 more specters.
Is that a spell?
No.
Okay.
With that, are you trying to impose disadvantage because of the
No.
fire damage?
If it's a spell, I might have a little something.
What, a counter spell?
Yeah.
Yeah, this
I mean, if it's not a spell, then it doesn't.
to your knowledge, this wouldn't be a spell that you know. Like, it wouldn't even cross your mind to, like, that this is within the wheelhouse of counter spell.
Okay.
Okay, but yeah. Alright, so you see the balls of energy shooting out, kind of swirling past you, and as they land on the dead bodies still sprawled around, more spectral figures stand up. And now it's their turn. Okay. One's gonna move here. That one is still fighting with this one, so it's gonna move into the space of the townsperson. This one as well. This one's gonna go there, and this one's gonna fly behind Decker. Okay. How do I want to handle this? We'll go left to right. That's not good. That's not good. So, the Golden Hearts, as you see over to the west, these specters descend with this killing intent on the townsperson attempting to flee. They almost kind of crawling away from the initial spike that had been driven through them. You see these 2 specters devour it like rabid dogs, latching onto this individual, stopping them from fleeing as strange claw-like hands fly up and down and up and down, and you just hear it being almost torn apart by these 2 individuals. And then we'll go with Decker. So Decker, as you drive your rapier into the back of this behemoth, and you're trying to figure out what's going on beneath your feet, the townsperson screaming to your right, the chaos ensuing, you feel the hairs on the back of your neck stand up as you quickly turn to your left, and you see this strange granny-like specter racing towards you from its previous position, a spike in hand, the chain already forming to the behemoth above your head as it dives at you and tries to throw the spike into you. Give me a dexterity saving throw.
It's always a granny, Rob. No matter what character, a granny will always come for you.
That could be a very odd line out of context. Is that a 10, sir?
Yeah.
All right. As you try and whip around, the buckler in your hand, you try to instinctively throw the buckler up to deflect the spike, but the granny almost kind of leaps, almost like a layup over the buckler, and drives the spike down into the top of your shoulder, it digging into your skin and past your clothes. You feel the barbed end of it sink in, and you are grappled at this point.
I'm always grappled by a granny. Awesome. Here we go again.
Grapple is not that bad, really. You just can't move. You can still do a lot of things, fighting, attack of opportunity, all that stuff, but you are, the spike is driven into you, and the chain is now pulled tight, and that is a situation you find yourself in.
Okay.
All right. And then the one down next to you, Thor, as you are squared off with the behemoth, you see it kind of descend on the townsperson to your right, beginning to lash out at it with its claws. And it misses. The townsperson, in its absolute fear, starts swatting the specter away, kind of shoving the hands back as it begins to try and make its way away from this strange being. As it does push itself from the space, you see where the 2 bodies had sort of drifted together, these green lingering flames coming off of it, and there's obvious burn and decay, similar to the burn and decay on your left arm, as the villager breaks free and begins sprinting the other direction. So that would be this person moving to there. These people are off the map, and that last specter is attacking that villager down below. Oh! Okay, so as that specter flies, let me go ahead and do this. So if I can do this correctly. Nope. There we go. All right. As it shoots down the road, Jarek, you look to your right, and you see this specter dig its spike into one of the fleeing townspeople, almost like an old mafia movie, as it throws its arms up as the spike sticks out of its back, and then begins being pulled the other direction by the behemoth behind it. I think that's all the specter's turns. It's all the townspeople's turns.
Does a 13 hit a specter?
Yes.
Then I would hit that specter that made an attack on the townspeople next to me.
All
and
right.
It would do 17 slashing damage.
All right. So as the specter's lingering body is almost being pulled apart by the fleeing villager, you still locked with the behemoth, you glance over and almost as just a stray opportunity, throw your sword to the side. You feel the slice cutting through this ethereal figure and separating it, the face kind of being pulled in this long, distraught fashion before the green energy kind of drifts away and is dispelled completely. So there you go, sir. And then we're up to Thor. It's your turn, top of the round.
All right, so this chain just basically made its presence known beside me.
Yeah,
So I'll
like
go
you would
ahead.
see this tendril green kind of forming and then pulled tight.
All right, then I will swing at it. Now I'm flanking it with Valorant, so
Ooh. That would be a miss, sir.
all right.
Is there any bonus to that?
+8, and I rolled a 4, so no.
That would be a miss, sir.
All right, cool. Then hold on.
You do have an inspiration die.
Shut up. Hold on. Fine. Can I try to use Shard's Edge ability to... Oh wait, no, it's an action to send it out. Never mind. Yeah, I'll burn my inspiration die. Why
I'm not saying you have to. I was just making
No,
sure you
it's
knew you had
fine.
it.
It's fine. I got a 13. Are you happy?
That would be a miss.
Yeah, I would.
As the chain forms, you swing your sword, and it almost kind of goes along the length of it. What's the best? Like when you're running a stick along a chain link fence, it's like as you glance off the length of the chain. You strike again, the same effect. You pause for a moment. You stare at it. You focus at it. You feel the influence and the power and the energy that came from that strange dream from months ago where someone told you the faith was with you. And as you slash with the sword again, you miss.
Valorant, can you break this damn chain? And then I will, my turn is ended.
All right, Valor, you're down to you.
As my bonus action, I will engage my, sorry, I forgot I had this.
Your shield pendant?
The Onyx Shield Pendant, yes.
All right.
So my AC is now 7.
Gotcha. Valor, we're up at you. Decker, you're on deck.
It will attack the chain.
All right. That would be a miss, sir.
Once more.
That would be a hit.
And I'll use my bonus full arm attack.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually a 14 because the magic weapon bonus was not added to that.
Gotcha. This is against the behemoth?
Against the behemoth, yeah.
That would be a miss, sir.
Okay. And he is going to climb up onto these rocks here and now call out Braun, your son is killed, your city attacked. Resist!
Give me a intimidation roll. All right, noted. So, Valorant, as it jumps to your turn in action, Thor desperately attempting this chain that is wiggling around his vision. As you turn to try and separate it from the behemoth standing beside you, you try to strike, but Thor's blow causes it to jangle a little bit out of place, and you start shooing him away before you land a decisive strike, separating the spectral chain from itself. And as it is separated, you turn your attention to the behemoth, attempting to swing your glaive in a fluid motion as you turn, and you see the end of your polearm just miss by a few inches as you almost glance across the stony skin, not quite capable of landing that blow. Knowing that you haven't dealt the damage you want, you hop up to the boulder, getting another higher, more advantageous position, spotting the strange young man with auburn hair spike through his shoulder, engaged with the specter behind him, standing in this strange ritual circle in the center of the crater. You call out to the being in the center of the chest, the face of it like squeezing itself into the gap of the already or still burning metal, and it just screams back at you in this strange, twisted agony that almost makes your heart sink as you stare back at it. But then we are up to Decker or Aurora.
Okay. She is going to. So first of all, I'm impaled. Is
You were
that
grappled,
chain?
yes.
So am I chained to this thing?
Yes,
Do I
you
have a
cannot
chain?
move. And you have a chain to you,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
Aurora
So
could
I'm-
attack the chain if you want.
Yeah. I'm gonna have Aurora instead fly over the specter.
Okay.
Fly. Give me some help on an attack against it, and then fly by, and she should be able to end there.
Okay.
And so my first action will be to attack the chain that's holding me.
Okay.
Let's see if I'm any better at attacking chains. Seems I am.
There you
All
go. That would be a hit.
And do I need to roll Booming Blade, or did that take care of the chain?
No, the chain is dealt with. As long as you hit it, you deal with it.
Okay. And then I'm going to
That's
I'm going
damage.
yeah, that's my attack.
Mhm.
And then I'm going to move here and action surge and attack the specter.
Are you using your bonus action to disengage? Because otherwise you'd provoke attack of opportunity from the behemoth.
That's fine. I'll take it.
Okay.
I had disadvantage.
I threw my dice. No, I didn't throw it in the box.
Disadvantage.
I'm rolling. Okay.
Yeah, but at disadvantage.
I'm rolling at disadvantage. What's your AC, Decker?
18.
Okay. It misses. As you kind of like dart away, you see one of its legs kind of kick out with this strange speed, and you just barely duck underneath this foot with a bunch of like dirt and earth stuck to the bottom of it, dripping away as you dart towards the specter.
Okay. And then I'm going to attack the specter with action surge, second attack.
Okay.
And does a 16 hit?
16 hits.
So 23 damage, and then Booming Blade and 25.
Does Booming Blade, you cast as a cantrip, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So then 23 plus 2, so that's 25.
Mhm.
Okay. As you dart past the specter, almost kind of going under its weird, kind of trailing off bottom half, you turn back around, the spike beginning to kind of fade away from your shoulder as it's now disconnected from its source. You stab your rapier through the back, and you see the metal go through the translucent figure, and you kind of almost like swirl it around frantically, like trying to get something off of a stick, and you start dispelling the center of the figure as it's swirled more and more sparse and eventually is cast away completely.
Okay. And that will end my turn.
Alrighty. We are down to Jarek.
Oh my. Okay, no one's chained, so we're good on that. I think, kind of a rinse and repeat. So, on my last one, I got the feeling that Dissonant Whispers hit. It just wasn't affected.
It wasn't affected, and the the purpose of it was almost lost on this creature.
Okay. It's not a frightened status.
I got you.
Weird. I'm not sure what to do with that. Go ahead and recast my fire
metal?
damage on it. Yes. What was?
You have something, Decker?
Yeah, I'd meant to look at the magic circle.
Give me a quick perception check while you're darting around. Okay, that's 13 more fire damage, Jarek.
Yeah. Burn, baby, burn.
Man, this is brutal. I should not have made his ribcage metal, but okay. And that gives him disadvantage again for the next round.
And for all attacks and ability checks.
All
Not
right.
saving throws.
Gotcha. So, Decker, as you are spurred on by this strange, plump man kind of off in the distance, you glance down at the ground around you. Actually, give me a quick arcane check.
Okay.
That's the thing? Yeah.
Yeah, Arcana.
Yep. In the heat of the moment and your studies being so long ago, and even when they were there, you were very disinterested in what they had to say, you can clearly realize that this is some sort of magical circle, some sort of implication is attached to this ritual casting in the center of this town. But there, you can't make heads or tails of what it means or what the words and the symbols and the designs might lean it towards. So more or less, it's just ritual circle in the ground. Yeah.
And as I ran by it, I would just cast over my shoulder. Yes, it's magic.
Good enough for me. And so Jarek will move 10 right over here.
Okay.
Yeah, grid. And looking over there, thinking to myself, like, okay, I think I can do this. And go ahead and try and cast a Dispel Magic on it.
Okay, on the circle?
On the circle itself.
Okay. Shoot Dispel Magic description in the chat real quick. I want to double check something. Okay. Go ahead and give me a an ability check.
Alright. So, spellcasting ability 7.
You are casting it at a 3rd level, correct? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to burn a higher spell slot on that.
Gotcha.
Oh, my modifier is +4. Never mind. So, +4. Are you serious?
Oof.
You are lucky.
Is it worth burning? Yeah, it is worth burning.
Okay.
Is that an ability check? Yeah. So.
Beautiful.
Just great.
Beautiful.
So +4, that's a 10. That's a solid 10. So if it's a 3rd level spell.
As you kind of brace yourself against the rubble to your side and put forth your energy, attempting to dispel whatever this ritual might be, you feel it's almost like your attempt is swatted away. It doesn't even quite reach the center of the circle before you feel your grip on it just completely shatter into a million pieces. And it's clear that you are not close to reaching whatever power source is in the center of this ring.
I'm not prepared for this. And just good luck, everybody. And that's all I.
All right, we are now down to the evil turn. So he has disadvantage. He has booming blade on him. Correct? Okay. He doesn't have any chains. All right, we'll deal with the specters first. Oh, I know he did. Okay. Oh, Jesus Christ. Where is it? Ooh.
Hey,
Mm-hmm.
BT Dubs, let me know if you make any attack rolls.
Okay. All right. So as the burning cage of its chest continues to glow that white hot, the energy inside still searing and screaming and wailing away as it swarms and swarms, the specters that have now dealt with its targets looking around frantically trying to find what is next on the menu. This one is going to dart over the boulder to Jarek. This one's going to dart up into Valorant. Give me your polar. Yep. That is a miss, sir. And then that one's going to attack that as this town person flees. I think that's all of them. Yes. And then the behemoth itself. Okay, Jarek, dexterity saving throw. Valorant, dexterity saving throw. Ooh. Oh, you get a +5, right? Because you're in your thing?
Mine is... That's with the +5. That was a really bad roll for me.
But don't you have your aura of whatever?
That's, yeah.
Yeah, that's with the bonus, so...
Ooh.
Bad times.
And then 14 for you, Jarek?
Yeah, I'm pretty dexterous.
All right. Valorant, as you are what's the word I'm looking for, shouting at the energy inside of this chest, you feel a strange presence coming up behind you, and you see the specter begin drifting up the rock. You turn around and attempt to dispel it with your glaive, but your strike goes wide as the specter kind of dips underneath it, and then the spike in its hand drives into your foot, piercing straight through out of the bottom of your boot, and you feel the chain latch back to the behemoth you're standing next to as the specter kind of drifts around at your ankle height, this strange mangled smile on its face. Jarek, as you are ducked behind this rubble, trying to figure out what the right course of action is, hopefully trying to dispel the magic, you are surprised as a spike is landed in your hand as you are reaching up, attempting to cast your spell. And as it drives through your palm, you see a spectral chain shooting over to the behemoth as the specter above you is this weird, demented-looking child, this other smile glued to its face. So now you are... Nope. There we go. You're attached. And you're attached. The specter down here is going to attack that poor civilian. It's going to miss. So that civilian is going to flee. Very nice. Okay. Behemoth turn. 1 second. Let me double check something. How... nice. As these chains are pulled tight, Thor, the attention of this behemoth locked on you, you see now that it's drawn towards this new development. Its head turning to the right and staring both at Valorant, which is almost at eye level, and then Jarek off in the distance. And you see this putrid, foggy, heavy air begin to bellow from its mouth, and it opens it up like a mechanical jaw, almost like a crushing machine, as a big gaping hole appears in its face, and then with a sudden violent blast, this green fog spews in this massive cone across the terrain, over the boulder. Oh, why are we groaning? Do you have something, sir?
I mean, it kind of sounds like that's spell-like. And I'd like to counterspell that.
Okay.
Did you use a reaction already?
Not since my turn.
Shoot the description of counterspell in here real quick.
Well, if it's a spell,
You don't technically know.
I don't technically know.
I just want to read the description real quick. Just double check, make sure I
You
got
can
it.
always try.
I can always try. Yes.
That is true.
I mean, if I fire this off and nothing happened,
It's the question that I'm
it's an
trying to
ability.
figure out is this is not a spell, but it's coming from a spell. Like the action it's doing is not the spell, but the creature itself is a spell. Yeah, then it wouldn't.
I don't think it would have. Yeah, it's just an effect that it has. So
Yeah.
you're fine.
Okay. I'm assuming you don't want to cast it then with this quick flash of insight.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
So
All right. So as this heavy fog rolls past you, Valorant and Jarek, give me a Constitution saving throw.
Just so you know, I'm using my reaction to hit it with a 19.
Okay. That would hit, so go ahead and roll damage for that, sir.
That is 9.
Okay.
Damage.
Oh, Jesus Christ. All right. So, Valorant and Jarek, as you watch this creature shift its attention to you, and you see this wall of fog wash over you, quickly your muscles begin to refuse to react. This intense paralysis shooting across your body as the grip on your glaive is iron-like, holding you in place. Just a bit of shock left on your expression as Jarek, a few moments behind him, you take in a quick gasping panic air, trying to dodge this like massive wave of fog. You suck in a gulp of it, and you too feel the paralysis slowly growing through your muscles, the chain and spike through your hand being right in front of your face as you look down at it in horror, frozen in this strange, almost statuesque appearance. You are both paralyzed. You can attempt to re-save against it at the end of your turn. So as that is cast, Thor, you watch your companions being enveloped in this fog, both of them as the green air kind of disperses enough for you to see. You see both Valorant and Jarek frozen. Valorant looking a lot more approachable than Jarek as he is frozen in terror, looking at his hand. I think that's its action. We've done everything else. So we're now back up to you, Thor.
Okay. So seeing this development, I would like to kind of just shout, no, 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 and I will run 5, 10, and can I get both of the chains here?
Yeah, you can attack both of them, but there'd be 2 separate attacks.
Yeah. I understand that.
Okay.
And I would like to... Can I move through Valorant? I can't remember if that's a thing or not.
You can move through... Actually, he's paralyzed, so I could be an asshole and be like, he can't shift aside, but you can move through him if you need to. But he is up on rocks, so that's difficult terrain up there.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I've moved 10 feet. This is 20,
Okay.
30, whatever. I can still make it. Doesn't really matter. And then, so I can still reach the chains. I'm going to recklessly attack the chains.
Okay.
So a 25 and a 27.
Both hit. So let me make sure I delete the chains. I'm gonna move you real quick. Oh shit!
Frick yeah, baby, we did it.
There we go. All right. Anything else, sir?
Nope. I am just holding my position because I don't have any bonus actions at the current moment.
All right. So as you see your companions frozen in place, you quickly dart up the boulder that Valorant stood atop, almost using his ankle as like a quick grab to get yourself up and over, moving past him. Sliding down the other side, you swing out with Shard's edge, and cleanly you cut both chains in a single long swipe, the trails of the chains kind of whipping through the air before dispersing. Jarek, as you were still frozen in place, you see the spike through your hand beginning to grow more and more translucent before it eventually disappears, just leaving a small hole in the middle of your palm. And then that would be your turn, sir.
And then just so you're aware, attacks on me have advantage now.
Yes, because you were reckless. To Valorant, sir.
I think the only thing for me is to try to save, right?
Yep.
And you said it was Constitution?
Yep. And you haven't lost your... Very nice. It is at the end of your turn. But as Thor darts past you, and you get this frustration building up inside of you that you are more useful than this, you're better than this, and as Thor glides down, separating the chain from your foot, you force yourself free of this paralysis, almost willing your body to move past it, as you are sluggish to get back into combat, but you have returned back to your form. And now we're to Decker. You're muted.
Aurora is going to fly down and flutter around the specter.
Okay.
and help whoever attacks it next.
Okay.
And then peel out back here. And Decker is going to... I'd like to... Can I discern any sort of weak spot in its armor or like a crack that...
The only damage that you've seen really land more decisively than any other is the burning sensation at the center of its ribs and the strange white glow that came from the blonde-headed knight atop the rock.
What do you mean the burning in its ribs? Like from the heat spell?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I can only do what I can do, so I'm going to... again, come in behind it and try to land another attack, see if it's a little more effective this time. There we are. And I'm assuming a 10 doesn't hit.
10 does not hit.
All right. And then I'll bonus action disengage and get back. I'm done.
All right. So as Aurora goes sweeping through the battlefield, kind of darting through the face of the specter, kind of pulling the face away into this strange, faded form before it comes back together as the owl swoops away, you go diving back into the crater, jutting in with your sword again, relying on this almost fencing technique as your footwork lands precisely, your sword strikes true, but as it hits the stone, it's just glanced to the side, unable to really drive home the point. Realizing that you're not able to land the blow, you dart back again in case there's any sort of response to this attack. And that brings us down to Jarek.
I lose concentration on my spell, so as he's busy, crapping himself, being paralyzed.
Wait, did Valorant lose his aura when you're paralyzed?
The aura only goes down when he's incapacitated, but the magic weapon does paralysis.
Paralysis
makes
counts
you
as
incapacitated. I just looked that up because I was concerned.
The aura comes back when I'm no longer incapacitated. But I don't see anything under that for losing. Well, I guess it's under incapacitated that you lose concentration. No.
Yeah. You lose concentration when you're incapacitated.
I just think of unconscious. Incapacitated can't take actions or reactions. That's all it says.
You lose concentration when you become incapacitated or killed.
That's under the concentration rules, I'm assuming?
Yes, for spell casting. I don't know if Valorant's thing is an ability.
Yeah, it makes sense to me that
I was looking under the condition, not the rule for concentration.
Yeah, makes sense to me that if you are paralyzed, you lose concentration, though that would be a 20 on your con save without the aura.
That's right.
Yeah, so that would still be fine. You'd still be free, but your aura would be down then?
It's down while I'm down, but it comes back when I'm back.
Alrighty. Anyway, sorry, Jarek. Back to your turn, sir.
Oh, no, I only have one thing I can possibly do, so let me go ahead and do it. And does that free me? Okay. Well, it's been nice knowing you, bud.
Do you have anything to throw at that? Any lucky die or... Oh, you can't lucky die a saving throw, can you?
Lucky is... Yeah, it's not for saving throws.
Alright.
So I am... Well, I'm not chained, so that's great. Anyways, good luck, guys.
So, Jarek, as you are frozen in place still, Valorant breaking free of the fog quicker than you, the specter in front of you descends upon you as the specter behind you quickly throws itself up the deck and swirls to surround you. Then there's the other specter that is distracted, but that doesn't matter except for being attacked. Let's see. I should know this because I looked it up before. But being paralyzed doesn't lower your AC or give advantage, does it? To any sort of attacker?
Being paralyzed means attack rolls have advantage against you, and any attack that hits is a critical hit if they are within 5 feet.
Oh, shit. Okay. So, and the one behind you is getting flanking too. So, what's your AC, sir?
A very solid 13, buddy.
You're getting hit twice.
They are criticals. BT dubs.
Oh my god. Oh, I'm so sorry. Why are you the one kidding?
You didn't want to change characters? Well, now you don't have a choice. What do you got for me?
I just rolled 3 6s in a row for damage. So, and that's
36,
doubled because
baby.
it's critical.
Metal.
So on one attack, you just took 36 points of damage. And it's
Okay.
also life drain damage. So
What is
roll me a con save. Alright. So you resist what if you had failed, you also would have lost maximum HP with that damage as well. So you're down 36 necrotic damage on the first attack. No. Why? Why? I just rolled 2 6s and a 4. So that is 16 doubled.
32.
That's 32 necrotic damage. Are you alive?
I am 100%, what's the word? Unconscious.
Roll me a con save.
And then you said that was how much?
Okay, you don't have to worry about it. You got the con save. That was 14 doubled is what I said. No, it was 16 doubled. 32 damage was that second attack.
Yeah. So I'm not completely dead, but I am
you are
certainly unconscious. Yes.
Alrighty then.
Let me give my kids a good night real quick.
Okay. You might want to give Jarek a good night, but that's fine. All right.
Is
So
this
then-
a good time for a 10-minute break?
Do we want to break up the combat into 2 sections?
Doesn't
that work?
matter to me.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead and do that real quick. Let's have a little calm down time. All right. Coming back into it as Jarek collapses in a pile of not living, very close to death. The specters landing these long, true, decisive claw strikes down his front and back. Still paralyzed, unable to move, he's forced to witness searing pain starting at the tip of his face, down across his chest, all the way to his abdomens, over the swell of his belly, as his body is basically opened up in front of him before the sudden rush of pain causes him to go unconscious and collapse down to the ground. Thor and Valorant, you would very easily be able to hear, witness, and see this event take place as the specter you are fighting with and contending with goes to strike at Valorant, still coming out of his groggy state. What is your AC, sir?
18.
It is a miss. So as you are coming back to, its claws kind of like striking at your feet, you're just able to kind of step out of the way. The behemoth, watching Valorant kind of quickly revive himself from the paralysis and seeing Jarek in the distance getting taken down. Is that, that was your reaction attack? That was a miss, sir? He tries to double down on the man that seems to refuse the fog he puts forth and is going to attempt to strike you twice. But it has disadvantage until your next turn, right, Jarek?
No, because I did not inflict any heat metal damage, so it is now.
Oh, because you were.
It is on its
Okay.
full strength right now.
It is going to hit once. 1, 7, 8. So that is 13 bludgeoning damage. And 5 necrotic damage, sir, to you, Valorant. So as you're dancing away from the specter, trying to not take damage from your most recent opponent, you feel your back brush against a solid object, and as you turn your head, you realize the behemoth has stood behind you, almost brushing you with his arm with his first swing. You're able to step to the side. His second one catches you in the ribs, and you feel this searing pain, this large bruise forming beneath your armor as you're almost sent off the boulder, but take a decisive blow. And we come back up to Thor at the start of the round.
So I will just look to Valoran and I will just say, I have to save him. And I'll take these opportunity attacks. 5 and or this is 10, right? And
Can I yell at him to wait? Can I see what's happening and tell him something?
Give me a dex check.
that's just if I would hear it.
Okay. I'll say that you can shout out to Thor before he moves. Whether or not he wants to listen or hear, sure.
Big man, I can save him. You're much more valuable there. I'm doing nothing to him. Keep doing what you're doing.
So not trusting this guy that I just met. I'm sorry, Rob. I unfortunately have to do what Thor would do. So that's 10. Are these not difficult terrain?
Yeah, across that kind of like rubble there, you should be fine.
Okay, so 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and then would this be 40?
Yeah, that'd be 40.
Okay.
Let me roll the.
And
What's
then
your
I
AC?
It is 17.
Okay, both attacks miss you.
Okay, cool. And then I will again recklessly attack.
Wait, did
the
you
one-
recklessly attack last time? Does it have advantage against you with its opportunity attack?
My turn just started, so it wouldn't be. It resets on my turn.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah. So like every attack for that round has advantage,
I
but
got
once
you.
my turn resets, it's not disadvantage. Okay, so
Yep.
that's
26.
against the first one.
That's a hit.
14 damage.
Okay. The north or south one?
North.
Okay. You dispose of him. That's a hit.
And 11.
Dispose of him.
All right, and then I would like to. Well, that's my action, my movement, and then I don't have. You can't feed somebody a potion as a bonus action, so I'm going to just stand over him, basically grabbing my potion.
So Thor, as you see your long companion, the individual you came into the Golden Hearts with all those months ago, you leap from the boulder as this strange man behind you calls out. Ignoring his warning, you go charging across the field, quickly dispatching the two specters that are still bearing down upon your companion. You begin to shakily and quickly reach for the potion that you hope will keep this fat and meat shield of a man alive. Ending your turn. And we are to good Sir Valoran.
All right, so just seething with frustration, with perhaps some uncertainty. Confident that Thor can deal with the situation with Jarek, I'm going to attack the behemoth with my glaive.
Okay.
Damn. Number 2.
That's a hit.
All right. There's the slashing, but we'll
Okay.
also drop a level 2 smite.
Okay. Oof.
And now the polearm bonus attack.
Mm-hmm. That's a hit.
And here comes another smite. Level 1 this time.
Okay. So 17 radiant, 8 slashing, 6 bludgeoning.
Yeah.
Okay, give me 1 moment, because that's 3 different types of damage. Okay, it's hard to tell because the monster's so big. He's finally bloodied. So
And with those strikes, just sort of snarling in the face of this construct, Today I regain what was lost in Butcher's Hole.
Very nice. As you stand atop the boulder, again, almost eye to eye with this behemoth, you miss your first strike as the glancing blow just kind of scrapes against his stone, and then you swing back again, leaving a white golden trail across his, I guess, abdomen area, and then strike him again. Clearly, this radiant divine energy that you were imbuing into your blows is shooting up towards the chest, and each time you see this radiant energy reaching the center, that green glow that was fueled by blood begins to grow softer and fainter. The spirit or specter inside that was swirling around violently becoming more calm and collected with each brilliant blow. I'm running out of adjectives. But we're to you, Decker. You're muted, Decker.
The Aurora is going to fly down and flap around this specter's face.
Mm-hmm.
And then after helping me, she's going to go land over on Jarek, just start cuddling up against his ear.
Okay.
And then Decker is going to move here and attack the specter.
Alrighty.
With advantage.
And +1 flanking.
And +1 flanking.
If you miss, I would be bewildered.
Yeah, it's probably well within my capabilities at this point. There we go. That should have hit.
That is a hit.
And Booming Blade. Is the Spectre still with us?
I don't see any damage yet for your rapier. Oh, there it is. Okay. So 15, and you get your sneak attack. So that's 23 plus 3, 26 total. No,
Yeah.
The Spectre is no longer with you.
Okay. And then I will move this way. And that'll be that.
So as you send out Aurora, the silent wings of the owl, it goes shooting down towards the boulder, again diving through the specter, kind of causing some of its mass to drift apart. And as it's pulling itself together, you jump up on the rock with your rapier in hand, and you throw forth your blade with that thunderous damage kind of gripping around the metal. And as you jab the sword blade true, there's almost like a muted explosion, like it was underwater, and you see this thunderous boom stem from your blade and just scatter the spectral energy of this ethereal creature off into like this puff of smoke, sailing away before it's fully dispersed, and you stand there with your blade clean. Alrighty, we would be at Jarek's turn, so if you want to give us a roll, sir.
Alright, if I can hit a 20 on this, then that puts me at 1 hit point. Well.
Not bad, not good.
I saved once.
Okay. Alrighty, so as Thor, you are stood over your large companion, this strange gray owl kind of nudging the side of his head in this strange show of, I guess, affection or sympathy. Valorant and Decker, you are still engaged with this behemoth, having lost all of its, I guess, lesser minions, all of its chains and special abilities that it was pulling forth, kind of running low. It just shifts its attention steadily back to Valorant, ignoring that its companions are now gone, and throws itself at you. And it's just going to straight up attack you again. It's going to hit you once, because your AC is 18?
That's right.
Okay. And he is going to deal 1, 3, 9, 14 bludgeoning damage, and 15 necrotic damage. So, stood atop the boulder, still embraced in combat with this massive beast, you're relatively holding your own in this position, despite taking damage and getting hit and feeling this burning, disgusting necrotic energy kind of trailing across your body. It is an impressive display that you are locked in one-on-one combat with this monster that is almost quadruple your size and most definitely scarier than you are, even on Valoran's worst days. But with that, we are back up to Thor at the start of the round.
All right, I would like to just jam this potion down JD's throat.
Okay.
So that is 9 points of healing to you.
Solid.
And the whole time I'll just be like slapping your face while I'm jamming this bottle into you, just saying, get up, get up, get up, get up, get up, get up. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. Ah!
As Jarek wakes up, Aurora kind of scutters a few feet away.
Alright, so let me remove that potion from my inventory. And then I will move 10, 20, basically back to where I was, which is right here.
Right.
And I will just kind of stand there, because that's what I can do.
All right.
And then if I guess my rage would expire, right?
Oh, because you didn't attack or take damage?
Yeah, so I'll just bonus action re-rage.
Re-rage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just kind of continue it, you know?
Gotcha. So yes, Jarek, as you are laid flat on your back and you feel the tendrils of death begin to seep into the edges of your vision, you taste this grotesque, certainly expired healing potion going down your throat. As it finally reaches your chest and the residual energy of it kind of spreads across you, it's almost like getting a Narcan shot, and you are lurched back into reality with Thor standing or like kind of leaning over you, his hand kind of swatting your face, and you kind of instinctively look down at your belly, realizing there's no longer an exposed part for your belly button or the tattoo there, and just coming to terms that you are back into living. But we were to Valoran.
Would you consider it to take my action to climb on the thing?
Are you trying to do something when climbing on it, or are you going to climb on it and like hold your position there?
I'm trying to climb on top.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
But that would take an action?
That would take an action. And I'd probably have you do like an acrobatics of some sort.
All right. What I'm going to do instead is move around to the other side of it, opposite from Thor. Cast.
Also, what size is this creature? Sorry.
What?
What size is this creature?
This is technically gargantuan, I think. It's a step above large, or is that huge?
Yeah.
Like huge is next
Huge.
one up.
Huge.
Okay. Cool.
I will cast Shield of Faith to make my AC 20.
Okay.
I will take the dodge action instead and just assert I will never succumb. That's my turn.
Gotcha. And we are down to Decker / Aurora.
Who is he currently engaged with?
With Valoran. As Valoran leaps from the rock and kind of runs around, you see him just like shifting around, his head following almost like a cat following a piece of string.
And then, all right. So she's gonna try her best to still do her part. So Aurora's gonna flutter in and then
Get lost underneath it. There you go.
There we are. And then flutter back to Jarek.
Okay.
Is she able to render help or not?
Going off of what you saw earlier, her help
Yeah.
doesn't seem to do anything with this.
Okay. And moving next to Thor. It's quite a pleasure to meet you. The name's Deca, and then I'll go ahead and stab at the creature, whatever
Okay.
it is.
The not chimera.
23.
That is a hit.
There's the damage, and there's Booming Blade.
It takes so long for your damage to get sent over. Damn, your booming blade is not playing nice. There we go. Okay. So 26 plus 1, 27?
Yeah.
Alrighty.
And then I'll bonus action disengage and move back 1 and go get him, big boy.
So Thor, as you stand astride this boulder, Valorant darting around, giving you the rear of this creature facing you. The strange fighter that has been stuck into this combat since it's begun, darting around the background, comes running up beside you, introducing himself rather politely before stabbing his sword forth and then darting back, kind of giving you a small introduction as he continues the fight. As your rapier lands, booming blade, against the behemoth, and again, the rapier kind of strikes against the stonework. It is such a beautifully constructed strike. If you were going against any other fencing sparring partner or a bandit on the road, this would be a death sentence. But against this stony exterior, the sword just kind of digs for a second, leaving a little chiseled mark, and then you must pull away before you fear breaking your sword. But you do cast that booming energy across him, and it begins spreading around the area where you hit. And then we are to Sir Jarek, which you are prone.
Yeah, so Jarek will stand up. Kind of.
She's still paralyzed.
I don't think that lasts through death.
Yeah, I think you're fine.
I don't know.
As all the air left your body, the paralysis fade.
Jarek will stand up and kind of like massage himself a little bit, pushing his magical energies into himself. And cast Cure Wounds at 4th level. That was not a lot, but I'll take 14. And then just call out, "Somebody disrupt the damn circle!" And looking at Thor, just remember our first encounter, and give him some bardic inspiration. And that will be it.
So Jarek, as you come to immediately trying to heal some of the wounds that have been inflicted upon you, you glance over and see this rather large gray owl perched on the railing beside you, its head fully turning around to look at the behemoth before fully turning around again to look at you, just kind of glancing at your wounds and then kind of tilting its head to the side. As you call out to Thor, you see the behemoth kind of rearing around, following Valorant, and then both of its fists coming up in like a singular large swing at your companion. So you are taking the dodge action, and your AC is 20.
That's right.
All right, if this hits, I'll be amazed. That's a miss. That's a miss. So as you go darting around, casting everything you can to potentially make yourself a less easy target, but still holding his attention, you stand on the other side of him as his whole body is shifted, your companion being lost behind him. He brings up his 2 massive arms, bringing them down where you just kind of easily step to the side as the huge amount of force lands, the earth beneath you kind of shaking ever so slightly as you fulfill your intended plan. And then we are up to Thor, sir.
Is there any piece of him that I see in the backside of him that looks susceptible to damage?
No, really, from now that you've been able to kind of see a full circular view of him during the combat, the only thing that isn't stone or metal or some combination of the two is that exposed section of the ribs that is on the front of his chest. Everywhere else is this really thick stony exterior.
Okay. Is the stuff above me difficult terrain?
That, like, ritual circle?
Yeah.
No.
I can get to here. Would that be in the front where I could see that?
Yes.
Okay. Because, I mean, Valorant is technically directly in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to move there.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, running past Decker and just being like, "Hello, Decker. Nice to meet you. My name is Thor." And I'll just keep running. And I will... I'm sorry I lost our +2 Valorant, but it's alright. We're fine. I will...
That's not true.
What?
We're not fine.
No, we're fine. I will recklessly attack again.
All right.
Holy shit. Okay. I was gonna attack at the...
Yeah, so
thing.
what I was going to rule is that he'll get a free attack on you when you're trying to, like, run closer into his area. I'm assuming you'll say yes to that? Okay.
Do it. You have advantage. Would you have advantage?
No, because your attacks are coming after this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he does hit.
Fine. So it does 54 points of damage. Should be alright.
So that's 16 bludgeoning damage, halved is 8.
Yep.
And then 19 necrotic damage, half to 9. Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
All right. And then roll damage, sir.
Alright, so that is... let me do the math here.
So just double
8 double
dice.
is- Yeah, so 8 double to 16
Mm-hmm.
plus 7, so 23
Mm-hmm.
on that first one.
Yep.
And then 7 doubled is 14 plus 7 is 21.
Okay. Some of the total for that, because I already forgot the first number.
Shit. It's
8
21
doubled
and
is
20,
16.
16 plus 7 is 23. So 23 and 21,
Okay.
which is 40.
44. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. And that's both slashing damage?
Yes.
Okay.
Towards whatever the rib cage heart is.
Gotcha. So as you dart around to the other side, standing next to your companion again, you go barreling into the center of this behemoth, and its like hands land in the earth behind you. It's kind of scraping the backside of your shoulder as you get close enough to strike. And as you come face to face with the swirling green energy inside of it, the face of it comes up against the ribcage, and you're quickly in the heat of combat easily to discern the familiar features of Duke Braun. And as you stare at, or I guess stab, slash, I don't quite know how you would land a blow like this, but as you land a slice between where the ribs meet, sending your blade through the green energy, you hear another ear-piercing scream as the swirling energy violently begins bouncing around the interior, and then you land another one. And as you land both these blows, feeling that you've had a much more significant piece of damage to this monster besides your attacks against the stone, as you step back, you see that green glow that was slowly fading as more and more radiant energy of Valorans begins to drip into the interior. You see it fade a little more and a little more. The limbs of the body of Duke Braun's spirit beginning to fade, just leaving the face after your blow. It's basically just the head of Duke Braun kind of swirling in this strange void on the inside of the creature. And as you stand back, landing your blows, the face turns at you, its mouth opening up wide, and you just hear this, "No!"
I'll just back up out of where I just was. Next to Valorant, and that will end my turn.
Do you, good sir?
Gosh.
You got him on the run, boys.
All right. First attack.
That is a miss.
Second attack.
That is a miss.
And the polearm bonus.
That's a hit.
All right, and we'll drop a level 1 smite.
So that's 6 radiant and 8 bludgeoning.
Right.
Everyone's conscious right now? Yes? Yes. Everyone give me a straight wisdom check. Okay, so we're averaging probably around a 10, I'm assuming. 16, 10, 7, 15.
A check, not a save.
Oh, did someone roll a save?
No, I'm asking.
Yeah, just a check. Yeah.
Okay.
Alrighty. Oh, okay. Valorant, as you see Thor stepping from the interior of this creature, and you see the lingering face of the familiar Duke residing inside, the strange call coming from it, you're almost kind of caught off guard as your first 2 strikes go wide, unable to land a blow, but determined, that third one, pushing away the thoughts of Duke Braun's head from your mind. You strike true, and you see that last spark of radiant energy dripping itself in reverse up the body of this behemoth and into the ribcage, and you see the small white tendrils of your power kind of reaching in and grabbing the head of Duke Braun on the inside, and you see the green slowly start swirling into a paler lime, and then eventually this white light, until finally you see a fully white spectral face of Duke Braun turning to face you. There's almost a moment of connection where its eyes meet yours before it rolls back, both the eyes rolling into the back of the head and the head itself rolling back, and starts to spin, picking up momentum faster and faster and faster, becoming this white blurring ball of energy. And with one final loud cry, this bellowing voice that is all too familiar with, I guess, the Golden Hearts and even Decker, you would hear, "Not in my town!" And all of a sudden, the white ball on the inside of this behemoth gets sucked into non-existence, disappearing for a split second before a large, massive explosion goes off in the ribcage, forcing the metal fingers shooting out wide, all bent and misshapen as they're sticking out in various directions, the head popping off of the top of this monster, landing in the dirt beside you as the slowly kind of wavering body of this now empty vessel begins to fall from one side to the other, one foot kind of landing wrong in the crater before it goes tumbling into the bowl, kind of scraping the ritual circle in this massive path, kind of disrupting the pattern that it is slowly digging, and then landing lifeless at the bottom of the pit. Alrighty, and that will end combat.
Jeez.
Sometimes I think, is it really worth that third little bonus attack?
Moments
But-
like these.
It totally is. It super is.
So, Jarek, as you are healing yourself, Thor, you're recovering from your final blow, Valoran witnessing what is happening, and Decker standing at the edge of the ritual circle, the crater that was formed, as this beast slides back into its where it appeared, with the sound of combat kind of beginning to dim down. You hear the once still and silent city as you approached begin to light up with screams and shouts and calls and voices off in the distance. As the beast lays still, you begin hearing, I don't want to say the familiar, but the recognizable sound of multiple armored individuals making their way up the various paths to where you're at. But for a few moments, you were all left alone, just the 4 of you, in this rather disrupted space of Kraylin.
immediately heal myself, and then Jarek will run up to Thor and give him a big old kiss, and just be like, "Oh, thank God! Oh, thank you so much."
Thor will be talking to Valor and be like, "What the hell was that?"
A trap set months ago.
Also,
I
who
like
the heck
that.
is that? and I'll react to Jay.
So yeah, Decker, you would see these three strangers to you kind of gathering around in conversation as the beast falls. Aurora kind of flapping back over to you once Jarek moves, and you are left standing there kind of witnessing the events take place.
Yeah, I would just put her on my shoulder and tell her, good girl. Very well done. As usual. And walk over to the three that are standing there. Gentlemen, it was a pleasure to meet you. I'm sorry it was under these circumstances. Decker Caspian. Give him a little half bow. Sir, are you all right? And look at Jarek.
Wipe some of the blood off his hands. Yeah, no, I'm okay now. Thanks for jumping in. You fared much better than looking at all the corpses around than most of the others here.
Does anyone know what that business was all about?
I don't know what to tell y'all. Every time I saw Jarrell past months, ruling, he was the same as he was when we left him. I don't know how this happened.
Can I start looking around for Jarrell?
Yeah, is Jarrell anywhere to be seen?
So how about everyone give me a quick investigation check, if you're all looking around, kind of seeing what you can discover.
I was looking to perceive more than investigate, but it's fine.
So as Thor gets distracted by the various bits of whatever he's distracted by, the rest of you start kind of parsing the area, seeing what damage has really been dealt, looking around specifically for any evidence of the people on the podium. Jarrell was dressed in his kind of decorative plate mail that he was well known to wear frequently, with that blue sash kind of across the gleaming metal, the House Krator sigil kind of prominently on it. As you're digging through the wreckage of the immediate crater, you find bits and pieces of what you could imagine was once the pristine plate armor, bent, ripped apart, torn open, bits of blood and flesh kind of clung to it. But you can find about half of the sash kind of resting near the bottom of the crater, the sigil kind of torn down the middle, indicating that his body is probably all around you.
I hope you are reunited. I'm also going to pick my way to see if there are any townspeople in this radius that might be revived with a little laying of hands jolt.
Yeah, doing a quick preliminary scan of the area, going over to the bodies that are seemingly more intact. There are about 3 villagers or townspeople that are conscious enough or injured with not life-threatening conditions that you're able to kind of either keep still or stabilize or potentially bring back a little bit. So going around kind of dispensing your healing capabilities to them.
Just to stabilize, yeah. And to stabilize, and I'll also kind of pull them from the rubble and set them aside where they can be easily pointed out for rescuers.
Gotcha.
I'd like to try to get a piece of whatever these green things are.
Okay.
If that means I have to, slash at them, whatever.
You would notice that once the ritual circle was disturbed, the glowing energy from them began to kind of fade. It's not that they're not green anymore or they're not there anymore, but the actual energy that was pulsing through them is gone. There are already like shards of it kind of laying around. You could just like pick a shard up. So
yeah,
okay.
I just want to take one.
Okay.
And Jarrell's sash with the sigil on it, is the sigil intact?
It's like ripped down the middle, so there's like half of the sigil and a little bit of the sash still intact.
I'll take that and put that in my pouch.
Okay. So as you are all kind of going about your various, I guess, choices or events, you hear that growing commotion getting closer and closer. Eventually, you all look up from what your current tasks are, and you see familiar but definitely disturbed vision of Clifford again, leading a small, army is a strong word, but a large grouping of what seems to be town guard and soldiers behind him. He is distinctly, there's a large gash down the left side of his chest, almost reaching to the bottom of his stomach. There's a bit of like a nick on the top of his head, blood kind of pouring down the side of his face that he's kind of holding a sleeve up to, but he is leading forth a good handful of the fighting force of the town. As he comes back and sees you all kind of standing there, you just see this look of grief come over him as he looks from one dead townsperson to the next, as the soldiers kind of move past him in this wave, immediately kind of coming over and checking all of the townspeople they can, realizing more or less that the threat has been taken care of.
Jarek would rush over to Clifford. And thank the gods you're all right. How did you survive? You're right there.
I don't think we should be thanking the gods, Master Dissel. This is horrific. I'm in a bit of shock. Can we discuss this later?
Of course. The beast, I guess, we were able to deal with it, and commendations to this young man over here. He jumped in to help the folk.
Hello, Clifford.
Yeah, Clifford kind of looks from Jarek to you, and for the first time, having been kind of shooken by the scene laid out in front of him, locks eyes with Decker, and you see a quick look of familiarity. I said that correctly. 10 points to DM. Looks at you, and there's just like the slightest hint of almost comfort before he realizes again where he's at, and he just kind of curtly nods his head at you with confusion crossing his features, like, Master Decker, I did not know you were here.
Just arrived today. It's all right, Clifford. What help do you need?
It seems that you all have helped tremendously already. The gods, they'll handle getting the wounded back to where we need them. We need to make sure that the rest of this hasn't happened anywhere else, so there aren't any other rogue agents attempting anything. If we could just move around the city, see if anything suspicious is awry. I don't know who's in charge right now, but the city needs to be made safe.
Well, Clifford, if you have to ask the question, you're in charge.
I guess for now that's right, but we don't have to answer this question. We just need to get this dealt with. We need to make sure everybody is safe. I don't know how much I can ask of you after what you've been through, but Decker, these are the Golden Hots. I don't know if you've met them yet, Golden Hots. This is the Decker Caspian. What am I doing? If you all could please help, just go around the city, see if anything else looks strange. If there's nothing to report, meet me back at the castle.
We're on it. Would you like to join us, Decker?
Seems I already have, but I'll continue my acquaintance with you. What's your name, sir? Looking at Valoran.
Lord Valoran Athelvade.
Lord Valoran Athelvade. Quite impressive. Pleasure to meet your acquaintance.
It will be, once this mess is cleaned up.
We find our pleasures where we may. But yes, what first?
Perhaps we can grab some horses and head through the street, see if we can hear anything. Look for plumes of smoke. Sure, anything catches fire, that'll be first signs, usually. I remember this. That's how it starts.
The 2 riding horses are still with the wagon. I kept them.
I look around. Is my horse that I came in on anywhere to be seen?
Would you have stabled him or led him to the crowd with you?
I would have stabled him.
Yeah, then you would assume he'd be back at whatever stable you put him at.
I've got my horse in the stable.
Do the knights with Clifford have horses?
Most of them appear to be on foot right now.
Okay.
But yeah, if you guys want to form some sort of plan to either go on horse or go on foot and just kind of investigate the city, that's going to be more or less the event. So,
Yeah, I'm doing.
yep, everyone roll me an investigation check, maybe a perception check. We'll double down, get Thor happy. And then, however you guys are paired off or moving around, if there's any sort of conversations you feel would be struck up or questions asked, I guess now would be the time. Where did the previous investigation rolls end?
748 with Rob,
Okay,
rolling an 18.
gotcha. All right, so are you all moving in one group? Are you moving separately? What's the plan?
I think I would vote for a whole group.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we move together.
Okay.
Sure.
So, probably take like an hour or so moving around the city investigating. Is there any sort of conversations that would strike up?
I think Jared would probably go up to Decker. Decker, you said your name was?
I did. And your name?
Jarek Dissel. I'm the mayor of a nearby town called Corel. I was working with the Duke here the past few months. How did you know him? Clifford seemed to recognize you.
I was warded here. I spent most of my childhood as a ward of Duke Braun's household. I left him some 6 years ago, but he was family to me.
My deepest condolences.
Master Dissel, I thank you.
And Jarek will gesture to the Thorn Valoran. We all worked with him for a short time previously as well.
In what capacity?
That is a conversation over a hot meal and nicer surroundings, I think.
Indeed, and your friend said his name was Thor. Is that the whole of it, or does he have a proper name?
My proper name, I don't know that you're, entitled to know that, but my actual name is Thorasius Fireheart. And I was Duke Braun's best friend. No mean to brag, but that's the short of how I knew him.
Well, then you must be a good man, Thorasius. Again, it's my honor to meet the three of you.
Nice to meet you too.
But for now, we've got pressing business.
So, as you finish up your investigation throughout the town, guaranteeing that a similar event that you had just dispelled won't rise up anywhere else, hopefully there's not another body of Duke Braun to summon something from. There's no warning signs that stand out to you. More or less, just the general distraught of the populace is what you would find. Already, rumors and stories are cropping up of what happened and what it was and who was there. There is a few conversations in which the populace kind of bestow upon you the title of hero, the ones that might have saw the fight take place or escaped due to your quick action, that would be spreading around as well. And so already there would be some understanding that you were the group that stood the ground against the beast and kind of kept it at bay. But finishing up your investigation, you were told to meet back up at the castle, but you could do basically anything you want at this point.
I'd like to send Aurora up high and just do a circle around our immediate area, see if there's anything of note.
Okay. I say you can kind of be like doing this as you guys are going about and whatnot. Yeah. You would see the crater in the center of the town. It is immensely... what's the word I'm looking for?
Immense.
It's immensely there. No, it's noticeable is what I'm trying to say. From a bird's eye view, quite literally, the road that leads to Highbridge is now this mangled crater. And as you kind of get the layout of Kraylin, you come to understand that this is a very large meeting point of a lot of the prominent roads of this city. It's probably why it was picked to do the last day of respect for Duke Braun, and now it lays in rubble. And it kind of, even though you aren't a resident of Kraylin currently, it kind of hits you ever so slightly that such a devastating blow has been done to a place that you once called home. And it's clear that even though there's death and loss to deal with, the city itself has taken a rather decisive blow that will take a long time to recover from. So, you probably gain that knowledge as you go about.
In our search, can I mayhaps see Angorn's Angles and Edges, I believe was the name of the shop?
You could pass by there. Whether or not he'd be open is...
Well, yeah, I mean, I just, passing glance, is he?
You would see, as you go through the Iron Market, which is where all the blacksmiths and armors and whatnot kind of function in the northern part of Kraylin, you would see a lot of the shops, doors closed, lights off. Angor's Angles and Edges would be included in that. It appears that either nobody's home or it's appearing that nobody is home.
Gotcha. All right. Just checking in.
All right. Any other stops? Back up to the castle then?
Yeah, ready for the castle here.
All right. So, finishing up your search and putting yourself in the direction back up to Castle Kraylin. Decker, would you say you've been here since you were warded here?
Doubtful.
Okay. So, removing yourself from Lowtown at this point, putting the fight and the devastation behind you, and actually crossing Highbridge itself, it's strange how unchanging Castle Kraylin is. Every tower, roof, shingle, odd plank has been left in place since you last saw it. This washing wave of nostalgia kind of coming over you as you move towards the actual castle gates and then into the courtyard itself. It's almost like you were just here yesterday. There's absolutely no difference that you can easily spot. But the courtyard has been quickly turned into a place of organization. Soldiers, wounded, brothers from the temple, various government officials, you would assume. Everybody is kind of scattering around, talking to people, tending to the wounded, discussing plans, going over what happened. It's just an absolute concoction of madness as you step through the courtyard, making your way through there to the actual castle interior, opening up to that great hall where usually there are servants lining the walls in a stationary, prominent position. There are now no servants that you can see around, as most of the space is left empty. There's a few different groups of people talking in hushed conversations, but as you enter, you would see Clifford sat on the large staircase that leads up to the second level. He's sat on the bottom step, clearly one of the brothers of the Randolin religion, kind of tending to his wounds as he's finally kind of resting for a moment.
When we get close enough to speak, Valoran says, Mr. Clifford, you urged Jarrell to speak at the service. What was he supposed to say?
As you approach and he hears your voice and recognizes who it is, he quickly waves away the person tending to his wounds. They kind of respectfully bowing and shifting away. Clifford kind of looking up at you again with this fresh look of concern, confusion. I had been working with him on speaking, whether or not he truly was capable of understanding what he was saying. I thought it would be a nice show of the Lord wishing his father goodbye, whether or not the intent was there. What the words he spoke, they I don't know where they came from.
I could venture a guess, but from the little I heard, it was almost infernal. Demonic even. Something not.
As you kind of begin going through the chain of events, you see his eyes kind of go downcast, a few kind of reflective tears rolling down his cheek as he's overcome basically in front of you. The first time you've really seen this graceful, prominent, collected head servant really lose himself in a deeper emotion, and he just kind of starts shaking his head. He's like, I don't understand. The young lord, he threw me from the platform before. I don't know why. It wasn't him. He's not in. I shouldn't be alive. I don't know what happened. And he just kind of fidgets and stares at the ground, trying to figure out why he's still here.
So he saved you even though he was conjuring whatever that was?
Yes. Yeah.
Did he ever seem off today? Like, I mean, I know, it's hard to tell with the way he is or was.
There isn't any change with him since he came back. Today was like any other day. We got him washed and bathed and dressed and prepared, and something should have been off. There must have been something I missed.
If he threw you away, maybe he wasn't in control of himself. But he did what he could to save you. And I give the sash that I collected off of his armor to Clifford.
You see him kind of reach out and gently cup the sash in his hand. And the few tears that were kind of rolling down his cheeks turn into a waterfall at this point. He just succumbs to his emotion, just openly weeping as his head falls low and the tears fall from his cheek onto the sash, kind of staining the blue fabric ever so slightly darker as he like clutches it in his grasp. He was just a boy. I saw him when he was born, and what is happening? What is this fucking evil?
Jarek would walk over, place a hand on Thor, give him a look, turn, look at Valoran, say to Valoran, do you remember that day?
vividly.
Look up to Thor. I think you know who is truly behind this.
Derek would look
Yeah.
confused.
I think we all know.
Confused right now.
Oh, all right. This he doesn't know. Jake wasn't there.
They're, Decker, you looked up to Duke Braun. You said he was family. Tell me, does that familial reverence extend to vengeance? Justice?
Naturally. What are you getting at?
Gentlemen, I think it's time that we go over what the Duke and I were working on these past few months. Clifford, I know you've been through a lot today, but could we have some privacy, perhaps, in the study?
He kind of collects himself enough, feeling like the task of situating company in a room is some foundation of his character to latch back onto. He kind of wipes a few tears away from his eyes, nods his head, kind of sitting up a bit more prominently. Yes, of course. I will make sure refreshments are sent in once you are done conversing. Go right ahead. Yes, and kind of gestures up the stairs.
So Jarek would follow up, along with, motioning to the group. And once they were in Braun's study, he would pull out the big sheaf of papers from the desk from where he and Braun had been working, kind of slap them on the desk. Decker, your adoptive father, if you will. The Duke and I were looking into something that my companions and I had dealt with previously. There is a being within this world. It's gone by a few names: the Dark Prince, or true name Tordan, who seeks the destruction of all within our world. Valorant, Thor, myself, and another of our patriots, we have come into contact with some of the followers, minion, if you will, of this being. One in particular is responsible for the state that young Jarrell was. And at this point, I think Jarek had kind of been circling around a little bit, and he'll just lay a hand on Valoran's shoulder with that. Braun and I, the Duke and I, were compiling everything that we could. And he'll kind of hand out notes over to Decker. You may want to read through these, see if this is something you think you are up for. If you can follow in his footsteps, take up his task. My friends, I do not think our work is done. I know we haven't adventured together in months. Can you see it within you to join up again?
was always my intention to pursue this quest.
I mean, Valorant and I were, also looking into Torrid and stuff while we were away. So we have some leads, that we could follow along with whatever you have.
Did you have any success? Valorant, were you able to look into the old Knights of the West?
The Knights of the West were a former name of my own order. Thor and I found references to a location that was previously unknown to me that was somehow important to the Knights. Until today, it was where I intended to head next.
That's good. So, Decker, will you join us?
I came here simply for a funeral, to pay my respects, and I'm a ranger of Uken, we're investigative arm of the military of Uken. It seems as if I've got a job now. I'll send word back home that I won't be returning for a while. Do you have any idea of where we'll be heading? How long we'll be away? Who we're even after? I haven't had time to review your notes, Mayor Dessel, but
Just Jarek, please.
I'm just a bit at a loss for what we'll be after. I'd be happy to end my services, and I'd be happy to call forth whatever aid I may from my family and my organization, but someone must pay for what they've done to this city, and he was not my adopted father, simply was a ward, but he was like family. He was very good to me. And I'm sorry for the friend you have lost in him. And Thorasius, of you being his best friend, that must have been a new turn of events, but bonds can grow quickly.
Yeah, I mean, me and Braun were really close. We were sending messages for a while until JD took my stone, and now I can only talk to him, but I still felt that pretty strong connection, even though we were far away. And I meant to get back to him before this would have happened. But what just happened back there was crazy. And we have to track down Torrid and his parts and whatever before this gets too crazy.
Lord Athelbane, do you have some small portion of your army that could join us?
Well, Mr. Caspian, is it Mr.?
Mr. would suffice, yes.
I'm afraid they're here already. Something of a work in progress, you see.
Here in the city, or are you speaking of the gentlemen in the room?
These gentlemen, plus some retainers that I've recently enlisted.
Well, then. That shall have to be enough, then.
It's a beginning.
I'll see if there's some aid that my family can render. We have some means.
We found it somewhat difficult to explain to people until now. It's an ancient and abiding evil from the time of the Great Entrance. Current climate, most are more concerned with the Pruitt Empire or
Question
their own backyards.
for the DM.
Mhm.
Can I roll a history check to see if I would have recognized any of this from my studies with...
Yeah, give me a history check. Let's see what I can give you. By the way, Jarek, ace on laying down that doom and gloom. Oh, fuck.
Yeah. Why I bother sometimes. Was a good idea.
Yeah, it's a very eventful day. It's hard to collect your deeper knowledge of the world in this current moment.
Valoran, there's a few places that we need to look at, but if you have a solid lead from the Chevaliers?
Chevaliers for
Chevaliers.
yeah,
Chevaliers. From the Chevaliers' old days, then perhaps that is our best starting point.
If we could secure even one piece, that could be the difference between success and failure.
We unfortunately didn't find anything that suggested we could destroy the piece, but you are correct. As long as we can guarantee that at least one piece cannot be reunited to the rest, we must avoid that at all costs.
I'm flipping through these pages while he's talking, like trying to get caught up.
Jarek will just be like gripping the desk, vein like strain wet on his brow dripping down. What we had a taste of today is only the beginning. The bits, the pieces, the hints that are left through time, and what we can expect should he arise. And looking at Thor and Valoran, you were there with us when we saw the vision out of Braun's back. I must protect my family. Cannot allow that.
Do any points of interest lie between here and returning to folk? Perhaps in Liamus?
There are.
My
There
home.
is.
You're from the Republic of Liamus?
Yes, it is quite a point of interest for me. I could point out many interesting things along the way.
Have you heard of any legend myths regarding? And he'll grab the stack of papers and flip through one until he gets to a point. Perhaps some great beast or possibly a dragon in the swamp.
The swamp folk are quite peculiar, with quite a few myths and legends. I think I've always thought they just made them up to keep people away from whatever illicit activities they had going on. But yes, we have a swamp, and whether there's dragons or not, never seen one myself.
That was off chance, but there was some suspicion, hints, things mentioned that pointed to at least a point of interest out there.
Well, it would be quite convenient to head that way. Could put Mother and Father at ease rather than just with a letter. They were expecting me to come home.
Then the Golden Hearts ride again for Liamus right away.
As
To
you
find
wish.
a dragon?
Sure, Therasius, we could do our best to find a dragon.
It's my ultimate goal in my entire existence.
It's a worthy goal.
Thor,
Although I technically already found one. Actually, I found two.
You found 2 dragons?
Yeah,
Really?
speaking of, have you talked to Friend at all? Or have you met Friend, JD?
no, you lot went out there and I was occupied.
While
I-
he's talking, I would whisper to Valorant, has he really met 2 dragons?
Valorant just kind of grimaces and goes,
Half dragons. Still quite formidable. Yeah. Truly.
Well, one was like a human dragon. The other was like a dragon born. Isn't that what they're called? But they both have dragon in the name, so that's what's important here.
Well, Thor, you might be surprised by this. So you remember many months ago you mentioned ideas you had regarding my hometown and
Yeah.
well, I
Yeah.
had someone take a look,
Uh-huh.
and there was some kind of script within the stonework itself. The cracked pillar. You had a stroke of genius.
I am a detective at heart. Do not let me fool you with my stupidity.
Well, that may be something we might want to look at. Perhaps after we take care of our northern expedition.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Just want to see Friend again, you know. That's all.
you know that creature is mad.
But he could be sane again. I'm telling you, Valorant, I know there's a way to set this thing free, and I understand your concern, but really, what do we have to lose at this point?
Thor, we should not be setting things free right now.
Nope. You see, that thing is not a piece of Thoradin, so the way I see it, can only help. And if it kills us, well, Thoradin's gonna kill us anyways, so like...
Thor, in my studies here, I can assure you there are many things equally as terrible as Tordan. Okay, let's let's poke one hornet's nest at a time.
Did any of those terrible things mention Choramon?
Not specifically.
That's
Thor and Jarek, roll me a history check.
Come on, dude. Like,
I like watching the world burn. Nice. Very fitting.
No. You hold that thought as I burn a lucky die.
Doesn't matter, Seth. We can never roll well on history. Oh, hey.
Okay. So as you were all conversing, with the vague promise from Clifford that some refreshments or wine or something would be set up after, the dealings were done, you hear a slight, soft knock on the door, and before there's any time to give forth a response, the door's pushed open. A rather slim, small woman comes in. She's holding a platter with some wine jugs on it. She has her head down, but she very politely bows at you and steps inside, beginning to almost like taking the wine jugs and the glasses, dispense them. To everyone else, it seems like a rather mundane experience, but Jarek, in the back of your mind, some small, soft alarm bell begins to ring in your head. And you gotta tilt, and then you feel a fire in your loins. And you suddenly realize who is standing in front of you. And it's Hypatia, the lost sister of a foregone companion many months ago, a small, thin, short, white-haired, half-elven girl, clad in very mundane clothing to appear as a servant. But that is the woman that stands in front of you, giving you a very soft, knowing smile as she hands you a glass. And that's where we're going to end the session.